Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Friday. Sorry I'm a little bit late tonight. I thought about just staying in bed and staying asleep, but I wanted to hang out with all of you guys. So I'm so glad to see all of you here. I was just drinking my coffee, trying to finish waking up and reading all the chat. So really happy to see you guys. And I hope you guys are doing good. If you're wondering why I said I just woke up, I actually went to bed last night at 2 p.m. today because we got a bunch of snow here in Michigan, and I was plowing all night and all the way into the morning and couldn't fall asleep till early afternoon. But there's some stuff I wanted to talk about tonight. And like I said earlier, mainly just looking forward to hanging out with you guys. So the news broke this last week that Remington had settled a lawsuit. Well, it's not exactly that simple, and I'm going to read the NSSF statement, and I'm also going to give some more of my opinions on the topic, including some background information and a video that I did back in March of 2019. So we're going to talk about that, some of my opinions on it, and I'm going to open it up after that for some questions from you guys, because I get questions throughout the week, and I can't possibly answer all of them, so hopefully I can answer some of them here. And I'd like to thank everybody who's supporting the channel. You guys are totally awesome, which first of all, literally just includes being here and hanging out, which is why I'm on here tonight. And also all of you who financially support, because it costs like a ton of money to do a firearms channel. And the algorithms, they don't really support what we're doing over here. So all of you who support by being a channel member, Patreon, local supporter, some of you guys send me stuff, super chats, it all goes back into the channel, and that's what makes all these videos possible. So I really appreciate all of you guys. And speaking of which, we're talking about algorithms. Susan Wiki. Hopefully her and her teams of people that are watching tonight enjoy the stream. But did you guys see where in a video interview she did recently? Let's back up real quick here. She did an interview recently, but there were some Democrat senators that wrote a letter to YouTube and said, we want you to censor even more firearms content. Now, maybe one of these streams I should do a screen share and show you guys, but there's a long list of restrictions already on here, including a whole rollout of restrictions that happened just a few months ago, right? That's why everybody's now using 29-round magazines on YouTube and many, many other things. But apparently that's not enough for these senators. And of course it's not enough. It's never, ever, ever going to be enough till they can try to ban all firearms. And this goes back to a topic, right? They want more restrictions on YouTube for firearms. And Susan replied with something that was very, very interesting. But this is actually the perfect opportunity to talk about something that I've been talking about on here for a really, really long time, because I believe it's true. And I know a lot of you guys do too. That this whole idea of politics, the government, what is the government? Well, the government would only be allowed to exist at the consent of the governed, to protect our natural rights that were endowed by your creator. That's literally what the Declaration of Independence says. But who is the government if it was going to be of the people, by the people, for the people? Is the government you? Is it me? Is it people in Washington, D.C.? Is it corporations? And I think these are all very, very interesting things to think about. But it goes to show, and I keep talking about it, and I'm going to keep talking about it, because politics is downstream from culture. I didn't invent that phrase, but I think it's very, very pertinent to what's going on right now. We have it where if people are still going to keep on using all these platforms, and then the platforms are trying to basically get in with the government, is that actually what the people want? Are they actually running by the consent of the governed? I don't know, but I think it's very important, and that's why I keep doing these streams, and that's why I'm trying to do some fun things with this channel, because we need to have a culture that is both, stands up for the founding documents, tries to keep this republic. Remember what Ben Franklin said at the founding of this country when he was asked, do we have a monarchy or a republic? He said a republic if you can keep it. And that included the lady that asked him that almost 250 years ago, all of the people that have come and gone and died in this country since, and all of you who are here right now. That's what he meant when he said, if you can keep it. And you don't just keep it by going to the ballot box. Some people would question whether it even matters to go there at all anymore, right? Now, I would note the former vice president, according to Susan, okay, NewsGuard certified source Time magazine, the most popular and the most fortified of all time, right? the most popular and the most fortified of all time. But does it just include going to the ballot box? Does it just include going to your senator or your representative or calling these people who may or may not get your message, may or may not talk to you? I don't know. But I will tell you what it does include. It includes you, and it includes talking to people and reminding people that, yes, we still have a country, what's left of it, right? We're probably the most divided we've ever been. I mean, maybe in 1876, maybe in the 1850s, leading up to the 1860s, there's always been conflict in this country. And that's probably actually a good thing, because when you look under these big status quo totalitarian type governments where nobody actually ever dissents, well, they do. You just never hear about them because they're either in gulags or they're dead. I mean, don't forget that communism is responsible for killing hundreds of millions of people in the last 100 years alone. And don't forget that. So the fact that we still have all these debates and the fact that we still have lots of political strife in this country, as bad as it is, it might actually be a good thing, because that means as long as we're still fighting, right, maybe there's a little bit of a chance. And I think there is a chance, but that's up to you guys. And that's why I say, people say, well, hold on. If stuff keeps up the way it is, we might be heading for a civil war. And I've been saying this for a long time too on here now. I would argue we already are. It might not be people with muskets. It might not be people like how we've seen it in the past. We call it the first Civil War, right? Over 100 years ago, 160 years ago now almost. Time flies, doesn't it? But we're definitely in a cultural civil war. And that's why I'm not going to stop. And I hope you guys keep on trying to spread the word and let people know what's truly going on in this country right now. But we still need to have fun too and try to stay positive. See, it's a delicate balance. You can't just sit back and make yourself feel comfortable, because freedom isn't free. And anything worth fighting for, there's going to be some strife involved in it. But we can't just sit there and completely take the black pill all the time either. We have to think of ways to encourage each other, ways to have fun. And that's why I like to do a mix of both on this channel. I like to talk about the firearms themselves, because I really like to shoot guns and I like the way they work and I like to review them. And that's fun. But I also like to talk about our natural rights that we're endowed by our Creator, because without those, without the free exercise of those, and without us standing up for those pieces of parchment paper, look, they're beautiful documents, beautiful pieces of paper, quilled by hand, literally an inkwell. They called it a quill, right? It was literally a feather. You dip in the ink. Beautiful. But yet it's just a piece of paper if we're not still here every single day. And I mean literally every day, like yesterday, today, tomorrow, if we can keep it, right? A republic, if we can keep it. We have to fight for these every single day. And that's why I encourage you guys to still, let's go, Brandon. Call these people out when they're doing what they're doing. So the senators wrote a letter and said they want Susan Wiki. Hi, Susan. Hi to all the people from YouTube that are watching, but especially hi to all of you guys, all you regular people that are in the chat tonight. I think all of the YouTube employees that watch this, I don't think they're allowed to chat. Maybe when they get off work, they do with their personal account, right? She said, well, hold on. I'd like to do more if Congress would pass a law telling me to. Wow. A government that has corporations do their bidding, where the First Amendment, it doesn't give you the right to free speech or of the press. No. See, these are natural rights. Just like the Second Amendment doesn't give you the right to keep and bear arms. The Second Amendment says, shall not be infringed, meaning don't tread on me. It's prohibition on the government. Same thing with the First Amendment. Congress shall pass no law, right? Free speech, freedom of the press, which maybe on here is probably doing both of sorts. I'm not like a traditional journalism, but I am on here doing op-ed work at the very least. But I'm also just an American that's on here speaking. What does that mean when a country that can't legally undermine your First Amendment protected rights that were endowed by your Creator? These are laws of nature and of nature's God. That's what the Founding Fathers acknowledged, right? To have a corporation come through, though, and make everything policy rather than law. Do you guys remember? This is probably about 80 years ago or so, a little bit longer than 80 years actually when it started. And I'm sure none of you guys literally remember it, but maybe some of you guys went to school long enough ago where they still talked about it. There was something called the Axis powers. Do you remember that? There was Japan, there was Germany, there was Italy. Now, some of the acronyms and words I can't even say on here because we've already gone so far down the road. There's certain things that if you even mention it, or if you even talk about it, your video could get restricted, nuked, or even the whole channel. But there was that Reich that was supposed to last 1,000 years. Do you guys remember that? Hey, look, if it wasn't for America, fighting off all these isms that we've had in the last 100 years, we'd probably all be speaking German right now or something, right? Think about it. Nothing against German people. I'm just saying that Reich, they said they were going to last 1,000 years and they were going to take over the whole world. Look, if we lose this country, guys, we ain't never going to get it back. Nobody's going to come and save the United States. We're the ones that save the whole world every single time. And right now it seems like the whole world's against us. And there's many, many fine people that live in all of these different countries. Many fine people. But with no disrespect to them as people, because they're all endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights too. And I truly believe that. And there's many, many fine people that live in every country that's ruled by the most despotic dictators in the whole world. Many fine people that live there. But with that said, we don't want to be like the rest of the world. We want to be like Americans. And when you have a CEO of a large company asking the government to pass laws for things, and they're reaching out with a letter asking them to do things, it reminds me of that other major part of the axis of powers, the axis of evil, whatever you want to call it. Because just remember, we need to call it out what it is. What's going on with a lot of these things is literally just evil. It's a battle of good versus evil, and evil will always prevail if and when good people do nothing. Italy. What form of government did Italy have? You might be thinking to yourself in the 1940s. Well, look it up. 30s, 40s, the late 20s, I believe, is when it actually started. Look up the alliance of corporations with government, with corporations doing workarounds. Hey, they're not Congress. They're just a company. Well, hold on. Except for Section 230 and all these other things, maybe more coming here in the future. So I'm on YouTube as long as I can be, and that's where most of the people watch. So think about it. Now, I'm also on another platform that's a free speech platform. It's called Locals. It's free to join, or you can support. I appreciate everybody that's over there. We're up to almost 2,000 members now, so definitely go check that out. I'm very, very active on there, posting stuff literally every day. Mateo's over there. Linda's over there. They're my team members. We're just having a lot of fun. Supporters over there are making posts. Heck, I saw Marco Polo in the chat just a little bit ago saying, hey, 2A EDU's posting a lot of good deals over there every day. Yeah, I do. And I also do live streams, and I'll be over there streaming at least once, if not twice tomorrow, which is Saturday. And I've been streaming there every Saturday. So make sure you guys check that out too. Shooting Gallery in New England. What's happening, man? How you doing? Shout out to your channel. He's another good dude fighting the good fight. And good luck, man. Your channel's been doing good lately, and I'm happy. If you guys want to see, if you're just bored over the weekend and want to see me hanging out with him, I did a stream with him about a month ago. So go check out the Shooting Gallery in New England channel. And if you guys didn't catch that live, you might enjoy the replay. We had a good conversation, and I'm hoping I get to hang out with him and some of you guys coming up here soon. I know I'm going to the Gathering event in South Carolina, March 17th through 20th. So I'm inviting all of you guys. It's open to the public the 18th through 20th. South Carolina. I made a post on Locals just the other day. You guys could hang out with me, some other people who you might like on YouTube, and a lot of the cool companies are going to be there that we all like. I know I'm looking forward to hanging out with PSA, Taurus, the people from Right to Bear Insurance. What's happening, Marksman TV? How you doing, man? And speaking of which, I hung out with Marksman TV at the Iraq Veteran event last October. I'm going again next October down in Georgia, and I'll have to text you in the next couple of days. I'd like to go with you again this fall, man. Marksman TV, definitely an awesome channel. I know you guys know who he is for the most part, but if you don't, definitely check out his channel. Awesome dude. I saw he has that Susan Wiki plaque behind him. Congratulations, man. 100,000 subs. If it wasn't for the algorithm, he'd probably be at 500,000, but the algorithms we're in right now, it's like literally tough. And I want to give all of you guys encouragement real quick before I get into the main topic. We're going to talk about Remington, their insurance companies. Was there precedent? Wasn't there precedent set? I have some opinions on it. I'm going to read the statement from the NSSF, which I have some opinions on that too. But if you guys have a firearms channel, no matter how small it is, large it is, you know, my channel is pretty small. If you literally haven't been kicked off yet, you're actually doing really good right now. So don't get frustrated, guys. Keep fighting the good fight. It's called algorithms. It's called senators are writing letters now to the CEO. Yeah, we're in a time right now where literally, if you're still going and you're still on there, don't worry about your numbers. Here's the advice I'm going to give you guys. Don't be a numbers person. Don't sit there and say, well, I'm at 99 subs. I'm at 101 subs. Now, it's good to have goals. It's good to have goals, but don't be frustrated, though, if you see your numbers going up and down, because that's just what happens. Like, literally, throughout the day, stuff will go on. I'll get comments, and every day I probably get 10 comments of people being like, whoa, you're still here, man? Yeah, I'm here. I never left, right? And they're like, oh, well, I was unsubbed and haven't seen anything you put up. Look, every night, I'll wake up the next day, minus 20 subs, minus 25 subs. So I just don't want to see you guys getting frustrated, because I don't know this for a fact, and it may not be true at all. But if I were to guess, they probably do that and mess with you to try to get you to quit. And we literally need, like I said, politics downstream from culture. We need to win this culture war. I think we're in what they'll call a fourth or fifth generational civil war right now in this country. And the more people that are fighting the good fight, the better. So I just wanted to encourage all of you guys and all of you out there who are watching right now. Make sure you check your favorite channels. I know it's a little bit of effort, but this sounds stupid. You might almost need to say the top 5 or 10 YouTube channels you like, especially if they're firearms channels, okay? You might want to like write it down on a little notepad and keep it there. And not every day, but whenever you get time, just type them all in manually, because you may find one of your favorite channels has been working their butt off and putting the content out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week, whatever, right? Only to realize that you were unsubbed and didn't even know it, or your notifications were turned off and you didn't know it. So I know it sounds like crazy, but I literally have a piece of paper off to my right. It's stuck over here on the side of this cabinet, and I'm actually writing down my favorite channels because, yeah, literally I've had the same thing happen. So keep your chin up, guys. Taking a quick look at the chat here. Yes, Frank, round 2. I think it would be fun. I don't know if Marksman's still in the chat, but see if you guys can get something planned right now. I definitely want to hang out with you guys again. Judas Priest said, thank you for the baseball card. One more thing, guys. I think this is fun. I'm trying to do it in the spirit of fun, because we can't just only talk about doom and gloom, guys. There's real serious stuff. And if we don't talk about it and don't address it, we're just going to keep sliding down that slippery slope even faster and faster and faster. But to try to have fun, I did come up with a firearms trading card. This is the first one. I've already started to send some of these out. I'm going to make several of them a series. So you can see there's a picture there. There we go. And on the back, I put some stats. I showed this last week, but a lot of people didn't see it, so I'm showing it again here. And yeah, I'm making a whole series of these. Right now, I'm sending them out to supporters. So take a look here soon. If you're on Patreon, channel member locals, I'm going to make a post for you guys. I'm going to have to round up some of your addresses, because some of you just didn't put your address in there. Or if you're like a YouTube channel member, they don't give me your address. Now, I don't want your address other than if you want me to send you stuff, right? We don't share it with anybody. And actually, it gives me a good chance to remind you guys of another perk that I'm going to do for supporters. So again, check those same 3 places. I'm going to be putting posts up here in the next day or two. I'm going to start, and I know I said I was going to do this 2 years ago. So those of you that have been following me for 2 years, I'm sorry. I had a bunch of crazy stuff happen that summer. Like, it was illegal to cut grass. Do you guys remember that? The governor of Michigan. It was illegal to cut grass. It was illegal to buy seeds. Yeah, it's totally true. Illegal to buy seeds, right? So I'm going to start doing probably a monthly video of a Patreon, channel members, local supporters Q&A. Now, when you guys leave a super chat, I answer your question live right here, which is really beneficial to the chat, and a lot of people like that, and you're also supporting the channel. But for the rest of you guys, I want to give you guys shout outs too. So stay tuned. I'll probably say, hey, today I'm going to open it up and give you guys like 5 or 7 days to ask all your questions. When you ask the question, you can say whether you want your name or YouTube name to be read aloud with it. And I'll do a Q&A video, and then I'll publish that publicly to YouTube so everybody can get the content from it, right? So there you go. I hope that'll be a win-win. Give you guys some extra perks. I'll answer your questions one-on-one, and then I'll go in there and answer them and then provide content. So if it's on a gun that I have, I'll bring the gun into the video. Not here on YouTube, Susan. Not while we're live, but on a standalone video on YouTube. Because we can't touch guns live here. Even though on locals, I can. New channel member, Shooting Gallery New England. Well, thanks for supporting the channel, man. I appreciate it, dude. Thank you. Like I said, shout out to you, man. I mean, I was shouting him out before he became a channel member. You don't need to pay money to get a shout out, but thanks, dude. I really, really appreciate it. And you understand how it goes, man. I'm actually having computer problems myself. And if you guys have watched his channel, he knows what I'm talking about. And you guys know what I'm talking about too. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm going to do a supporters Q&A. I'll give you guys about a week. Look for that post either late tonight or tomorrow. Patreon supporters, check your Patreon. I think it sends you an email. YouTube channel members, it'll be a community members post on the community here on YouTube. And then on locals, I'll put a supporters post up there where you guys can, ask me questions about whatever. And I think it'll be fun because it might just be interesting content, stuff that I didn't even think of. So when I get more of these going and have a set, I'll have a way where you guys can buy these if you're not a supporter. And look, I'm not trying to make profit on this. I'm literally doing this for fun, but just the cost of the stamp to mail it, the cost to make them, I can't send like 40,000 of these out. But all the channel supporters, we're going to be sending these out pretty soon. And I'll make these available. Like I said, nothing I'm trying to make money on, but I'll make these available for everybody else when I'm ready. These firearms trading cards. So something fun that I'm trying to do, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Civil War, Revolutionary War, I just saw somebody said. Yeah, there's a fine line, and I think you could call it both. The first Civil War, though, in this country, I think you could argue the same for that, though, right? I know what you're saying, Burt Lancaster. I think we could have argued that was a Revolutionary War part 2. Yellow Dog 64 with the super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. He said, thanks for the swag this week. Let's go, Brandon. The former vice president. They said, but why do you call him the former vice president? Well, it's really hard, people think, but it's a really easy answer. Because he is the former vice president. So let's go, Brandon, and shout out to Misty Wayne for decals. And I know I sent some of them out to you guys, including Yellow Dog. So thank you, and thank you for sending me stuff. I'm drinking out of my bottle right now because I'm always come and go all over the place, but that nice tumbler that you got, that custom one you made for me for Christmas, thanks, man. I have that over in my front shop sitting in the sink. It needs washed right now. I'm kind of balancing between lemon water right now and coffee. Because I don't know about you guys, but I need coffee to wake me up, okay? But if I only drink coffee, it gives me like I don't know, it like dries my mouth out. So I'm drinking a little bit of both. And bear with me, guys. I had a long night and worked all the way into the day today. Marco Polo just became a channel member. Thanks, Marco. I appreciate you, man. Nice avatar, by the way. Some of you guys have those shirts, and I hope you guys enjoy them. All right. I am going to... Dude, never apologize. I don't care how long it takes you guys. Look, a lot of you guys have no money, okay? I totally get it. I've been struggling financially for 2 years straight. And the more that I do YouTube, the more I struggle financially. But with all of you guys' generous contributions, I'm getting close to breaking even on this, which is what I need to do to keep it going. So it's awesome. You guys help support. I provide the content. We hang out. As long as it's a win-win for you guys, hopefully it is, for all of us, right? All right, so Remington, $73 million lawsuit. That's what all the headlines said. So did Remington actually pay out the lawsuit? Let's cut straight to the chase. Yes, no, and kind of. Yeah, it sounds like I'm a politician. Well, yes, no, maybe so. Shubin and nomination of pressure. Just remember, the most popular and the most fortified of all time. I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize. Shubin and nomination of pressure. Where am I? What's going on? Welcome, New Hampshire. Sir, you're in Vermont. Oh. Yeah. No, guys, actually, I'm not trying to be a politician. Did Remington pay $73 million? Yes, no, and kind of. And I'll try to explain a little bit. So let's go back to about, well, first we need to go back to 2012. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. There was a Sandy Hook Elementary School, right? This is in Connecticut, okay? There was a tragedy there. We'll just call it that. There's many, many words. There's many allegations for it. And there was a deranged, twisted person, right? And this is how it started off. They said he'd been reclusive and there was warning signs and maybe things his parents should have seen. Maybe he lived with his mom. Maybe she was a bad parent. Maybe she wasn't. I never met her before. There's some signs that probably show that, yeah, she probably should have been paying a little bit more attention to her son. But who am I to judge? And hey, she's already met her maker, so her judgment's already been passed. And it's not going to be passed by me. Because here's the thing. It all started that morning by that, again, deranged, twisted individual, whatever you want to call him, evil. As his mother lay asleep, okay, he grabbed, I believe it was a Savage, a .22 rifle, shot his sleeping mother in the head. That's how it started. He killed her. And then he went to the gun locker and took out several firearms, which was a Bushmaster, AR-15, a Sega 12 shotgun, and a Glock 20, 10 millimeter pistol, right? Went to the school, allegedly in 5 minutes, is all it took, 5 minutes. Inflicted a bunch of carnage upon the school, staff, children, and then ended up using the Glock 10 millimeter on himself. So I've gotten tons and tons of comments. That kind of settles a few things. People say, his mom should go to jail for it. It's his mom's fault. Look, whether it's his mom's fault or not, she's dead, okay? She's dead. If you believe that when you die, you meet your creator and that's your ultimate judgment day, she already faced that a long time ago, actually about 10 years ago, okay? And people say, well, Adam Lanza should get the death penalty. He should blah, blah, blah. No, guys, he's dead too. He killed himself with that Glock in the school. So I just wanted to get that out of the way because by a lot of comments that I got, I don't think people really understand how it went down. Look, I'm not blaming them. Maybe because they're so young, they were a little kid when it happened. Maybe they just weren't into guns back then. Maybe they were into guns, but they just totally forgot since then what happened. Now, there's a lot more to it than that, and there's even a ton of theories on that. I'm not going to get into it any further here right now, just because there's certain topics I don't want to get into too deep, but also because that's not really germane to what's going on, all the other stuff. But that's what happened, and I just want to let people know that. His mother, she's dead. He himself, he's dead. Okay. So that gets us to the families of the victims. And a couple years after that, they sued Remington, who owned the Bushmaster Company. And they basically said, look, it's their fault. It's their fault that they lost their loved ones. And why was it their fault? Well, mainly, and they listed a bunch of reasons, but one of the biggest ones that they were able to actually get to stick in court. And I did a video on this in March of 2019. Go back and watch that video if you guys want. Look, I'm kind of almost ashamed that the video is still up there in a way, but I'm going to keep it up there because I thought it was important information then. I was nervous. Go watch it. You guys will get a quick laugh. Anyways, so basically they said that it was due to the marketing that Remington, Bushmaster was owned by, look, there's all these conglomerates and groups that own all these companies. It gets pretty confusing. And we'll get on to that because that's why I said earlier, did Remington settle the lawsuit? Yes, no, and kind of. It's actually quite complicated. So they sued. And they said, but hold on a minute. There's a federal law. There's literally a federal law that says you cannot sue. You cannot sue a firearms manufacturer for their items being wrongfully used, right? Because there's a federal law that literally protects that. And it's called the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act. And that law was passed almost 20 years ago now. Now, you could still sue them due to the fact that the gun malfunctioned, if it hurt the person shooting it because there was negligence or something like that, sure. And you could sue them to make them like remedy a broken gun if you were trying to file a warranty claim. But what it protects against is no, because somebody misuses a firearm and somebody does evil deeds with it, right? Like in this case, that you can't hold the firearms company liable. But they sued anyways. And so many people said this needs to be dismissed immediately. This is insane. You can't even sue for that, right? You can't even sue for that. Well, that's what the law says, and that's what we would all think, just using our common sense, because then we get into these scenarios that I talked about, and they're all good scenarios to think about, and they still are. And I'm going to read the NSSF statements, but I still think this is all very germane. What, can you sue car companies when someone runs someone over with their car? Can you sue Budweiser? Can you sue the bottling company that made the glass bottle for Budweiser when someone drank too much and drove and killed an innocent person? These are all really good questions to ask. Can you sue the tire company? Because if the tires weren't on the car, they couldn't have driven the car into the parade, into the crowd. These things have happened, right? And I haven't heard even one person call for a lawsuit on the SUV manufacturer. Have you? No. So they immediately filed for a motion to dismiss the case. Dismiss the case. There's no way you can sue for this. Well, here's where precedent was set. And I am going to use the word precedent because I believe it was precedent. So they battled through the courts, and it made its way up to the Connecticut Supreme Court. And in a 4-3 decision, the state Supreme Court said, now this is in its name, Supreme Court. This is the highest court of the land in that state. You follow me so far? So therefore, precedent setting, meaning the other courts have to follow their decision within that state. In a 4-3 decision, they said, look, yes, Remington can be sued. And that was the headline of my video that I did in March of 2019. So I didn't just find out about this today, guys, or last week. I actually literally knew about this years ago. And I knew about Sandy Hook when that happened, and I knew about the lawsuit when it first happened, and then I knew about that Supreme Court case that had happened just days before. Now they tried to go to the federal Supreme Court, SCOTUS, and have them smack it down because they can overrule state Supreme Court decisions like they do most of the time, almost all the time, quite frankly. They said, we're not going to hear it. Nothing to see here. Remember, just like the most popular and the most fortified of all time, they said nothing to see here. So you guys aren't surprised. The United States Supreme Court could have stepped in, but they didn't. Now, here's why. Here's why the court said, and I'm going to pull up this NSSF statement in just a minute here. It had to do with a unfair marketing practices type law. And I'm gonna definitely have the backs of the NSSF over these parents. Look, these are all greedy lawyers. These are insurance companies, all of this kind of stuff. And I do agree with most of what the NSSF statement does, but not all of it. And that's why I'm kind of giving a little lead in before I share their statement. I believe precedent was actually set. Was it set the other day when they actually paid the $73 million lawsuit? Well, this is complicated too. Yes and no, and I'll explain. But I think legal precedent was set, at the very least on the state level, because this was a state Supreme Court decision. I'm not a lawyer, but I thought that state Supreme Court set precedent for the state. Now, there's probably 10 people that are going to claim to be lawyers that'll watch this on the replay and say, you have no idea what you're talking about. But there's a lot of supposed lawyers and a lot of supposed everything in the comments. So I digress. 2019, March of 2019, 4-3 decision. Yes, Remington can be sued. There you go. Now, there's another type of precedent. There's another type of court, and it's called the court of public opinion. And depending on how you look at it, and this actually goes right to what I was talking about earlier today, politics is downstream from culture. There's over, 350 million people now in this country? A few people sitting in suits on Washington couldn't just physically control all 300 million people. No. The people, the consent of the governed. What do people think in the public? So in the court of public opinion, there was another huge precedent set just last week. And the left-wing media ran with it like crazy. And I purposely cited an article from NPR that I have here, and I'll go through it in a few minutes. And I purposely picked NPR. Why? Because I'm going to have more of a conservative stance, in my opinion is. And I don't mean conservative as in like Republican, just more like the founding documents, a republic if we can keep it type stance. I purposely picked government news itself. And the NSSF can say that none of this stuff matters. And you can say none of this matters, and many of you did say that. And we can agree to disagree, but it does matter, in my opinion. It matters because we had the former vice president from his bully pulpit saying things. And there's a lot of people that listen to this. And there's a lot of people that read this stuff. So whether you agree with it or not, I don't agree with it. They should have never been sued. They should have never settled. They should have a million things. And I'll get to it in a minute. Remington doesn't even exist today as it did then, and basically doesn't exist at all if you look at it from corporate structures. It's basically a new company using an old name. So let me get that out of the way right now. And I'm not calling to boycott Remington, and I never did. And I never will, because I don't call for that kind of stuff. But I would actually argue something that's been said by a lot of people of the gun community, of the gun industry. Because remember, that's what NSSF is. They're of the gun industry. People from the gun industry pay them money. They're a group. So, of course, they're going to represent their best interests. And I definitely want to have them represent the interests of the firearms community. I was ticked off when I reported on this settlement, saying this could be a slippery slope. They're going after the insurance companies. They're threatening banks to not deal with the firearms industry. They're encouraging people to sue the crap out of the firearms industry. I cited my sources, and I left a link in the description of that video. Okay? The settlement being paid itself, in my opinion, they're trying to set precedent in the court of public opinion. And the court of public opinion matters. It matters a lot. And the fact that the 4-3 decision, in my opinion, was precedent-setting case law, whatever you want to call it, at least in the state of Connecticut, binding probably, right? Because it's the Supreme Court that said they can be sued. Look it up, guys. I did a video on it 3 years ago. You can find articles about it from 2019. And I don't care what anybody says. People are running wild with this all over the country, saying Remington just paid up, blah, blah, blah. Now we need to sue every gun company there is. The former vice president himself made a bunch of threats to, insurance companies, banks. Do you guys remember Operation Choke Point? Obama, right? Back when the former vice president was the vice president. They literally sent out a thing trying to strong arm and warn and scare the financial institutions from dealing with firearms companies. They're calling for that with renewed vigor. So yes, Remington did reach a $73 million lawsuit. They did, even if it's a different Remington today than it was then. And in fact, that's true. And I'm going to pull up this in just 1 second and show you guys. It doesn't matter. The estate of Remington, like sometimes people think that semantics is all that matters. And in some cases it does. But when you have something that's being put out there that the whole country at large is listening to, and they're reading things like families of Sandy Hook reached $73 million settlement with Remington. And then you hear them say, Biden recognized that. The preservance of 9 families who turned tragedy into action. And here's a quote. They have demonstrated that state and city consumer protection laws like Connecticut's Unfair Trade Protection Act, and that's what was cited in the Connecticut Supreme Court, provide an opportunity to hold gun manufacturers and dealers accountable for wrongdoings despite the persistence of the federal immunity shield for these companies, Biden said in a statement. So if this wasn't a big blow in the court of public opinion, I really don't know what is. And I actually had more people attack me in YouTube comments, at least on mine. I didn't read other people's YouTube video comments. More people attacked me and said, no, it doesn't set precedent. You don't understand how courts work. You don't understand how laws work. Look, I understand a lot about how this works, and I don't need to be a lawyer. I don't need to be representing people in trials to know how this works and to know that we're literally in a cultural civil war right now. And there's something called the court of public opinion, and it matters. And it might not matter to you, but it should matter to you. What these people say on the national stage matters. If you vehemently and utterly disagree with everything they're saying, which is the case with me, it matters. And this is tough for us to realize sometimes. The most popular and the most fortified of all time, okay? But look, a lot of people did vote for him. And whether we want to admit it or not, look, all laws that are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. That's what case law says too, doesn't it? But guess what? Literally, case law. The United States Supreme Court, Marbury v. Madison, said all laws that are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. But we have over 20,000 gun control laws. So do semantics matter? Sometimes. But did semantics matter with that? No, obviously not. Because if we even had one gun control law, it would violate the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Marbury v. Madison. All laws that are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. But we have over 20,000 gun control laws. So don't tell me that just because this law states this or this document states that makes it what it is. Now, I'm not trying to say the other side just won here and we need to put it down and run away and hide. Trust me, I'm not saying that either. I just couldn't believe it that more people were attacking me in the comments than they were attacking the former vice president. I didn't say any of this, guys, but I did cite it. Because I get it, ignorance is bliss. I get that, and that's nice and all, but you can't just ignore this. I can't just pretend and say, well, hold on, there's this law in place that was clearly totally disregarded by the Connecticut Supreme Court. Because all these laws have been disregarded. All the founding documents are being disregarded. Case law, court precedent, United States Supreme Court, Marbury v. Madison, look it up. That's been disregarded ever since. Think about it for a minute. I'm going to pull this up real quick. Did I have a couple chats, Linda? I don't want to miss those. Someone said he should be at an old folks home. I know. Cruz with a super chat. Thanks, man. How you doing? He says, 2AE, what's up, 2AE? Do you just want to thank you for the shirt for my son and the 2A stickers and the picture of you and the baseball card? Thank you, my friend. 2A all the way. Well, that's awesome, man. I hope your son enjoys the shirt. Like I said, the little ones, right? Hey, Cruz, you know, I don't know how old you are, but you have a kid. I have a little girl. When we're dead and gone, and of course we want our kids to outlive us, right, man? Like literally, they're going to outlive us. They better anyways. We need them to, the Republic, if they can keep it then, right? So that's awesome, man. God bless the little one and your family. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. Rudy Fenney with the super chat and a channel member. Thanks, man. Michigan guy. I don't see a message, so I assume you're just offering support, and thank you. And I'll put it back into the channel for more content that hopefully you enjoy. Thank you, man, for being generous. I appreciate it, dude. Harry Gremley, thanks for the support, man. He said, I love it when he preaches the Constitution. So I'm going to read the NSSF, and I don't want to sound too jaded. I agree with most of it, okay? I definitely am going to have the NSSF side over the former vice president, right? Let me share my screen here. But I'm going to read their statement because I think it's important to read it. And I'm going to agree with some of it, and I'm not going to agree with some of it. And that's okay. I think so anyways. I mean, do you guys want me to lie to you and say, I agree? I'm not sponsored by the NSSF. I don't know anybody from there. But they're very important. So they're very important. Definitely have their back 100% over all these other people in the article. So this is a statement that was published by Amelin. Excuse me, guys. I literally got to bed for the night last night at 2 p.m. today, so I need to get a little coffee still. And I know some of you guys are already saying, dude, you don't have to do these streams. Don't spread yourself too thin. No, guys, I'm having a blast on here tonight. just reality sets in and I need to keep this caffeine going. All right. So let's see here. National Shooting Sports Foundation statement on settlement in Soto v. Bushmaster. All right. Editor's note, news broke this week that Sandy Hook shooting families reached a $73 million settlement with the insurance companies behind the now defunct gun manufacturer Remington. And now we're going to get into some of the nuts and bolts of what I said earlier. Yes, there was a company called Remington that was around since the 1800s, okay? And along the way, they've gone bankrupt a couple of times, as far as I know, and reacquired by different companies. It gets really complicated. Colt's done the same thing-ish, not exactly the same thing, but some of the biggest American manufacturers, Smith & Wesson, all these that were around in the 1800s don't exist in the same capacity they did then. Let's just leave it at that. But specifically with Remington, and I talked about this in my 2019 video, where I said, by the way, guys, they're getting mired in this lawsuit. The Supreme Court of Connecticut says it still can continue. And I'm like, this is bad news because they're struggling financially and might be filing for bankruptcy soon. That was in March of 2019 on this channel. Literally, look up, just type in the word Remington under the 2A Edu channel search, you'll find it. There's only a couple videos with them in the title. I said they might be filing bankruptcy and going bankrupt soon. Well, in fact, they did. In 2020, they went bankrupt. So basically, the company that originally got sued is now defunct. It was the insurance companies and agents for the estate of Remington. So you still have to say, though, that Remington got sued and paid the settlement, even if it's a different Remington. Does that make sense? Let's just look at it this way. Say you had Joe Bob and Joe Bob Jr., father and son. Okay, fine. Joe Bob got sued. There was a settlement against his estate, but he died. And then Joe Bob Jr. had to pay it off. Did a different person pay it off than the one that's still alive today? Sure. It was his estate thereof. So, okay, Remington's gone, guys. The old Remington. If you want to take it out on the old Remington that actually started the settling of this lawsuit, whose insurance companies are the ones that actually settled it, you really can't take it out on them because they're no longer a company. But I still have to say Remington paid the lawsuit because even though it's the old Remington that doesn't exist anymore, and now the current Remington is owned by two different companies, and I'll get into who they are in a minute, what am I supposed to say other than Remington got sued and then paid a settlement? Of course they did. And I did mention that in my original video that yes, that Remington doesn't exist. It's in a different form now. I can't remember my exact words, but I know for a fact I acknowledge that. What am I supposed to say? Shubin and Amananech and Prussia got sued, and then now Remington got sued. The now defunct Remington, okay? Defunct, not a company. You can't boycott the one that actually got sued because it's out of business now. It's gone. But by the way, they probably would have gone out of business anyways, in my opinion, because these big firearms manufacturers have been run, in many people's opinion, very poorly, including Colt and many others. There was a lot to the Remington thing. Yes, this lawsuit, but not just that. So yes, Remington got sued. Yes, Remington paid the settlement. That's actually true. But it's a different Remington that doesn't exist anymore, and it has the same name as a company now called Remington, who's actually owned by two separate conglomerate groups. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I think I'm being fair with that representation of what actually happened. All right. So this is going to be the NSSF statement. The decision to settle in Soto v. Bushmaster case was not made by a member of the firearms industry. The settlement was reached between the plaintiffs and the various insurance carriers that held policies with Remington Outdoor Company, ROC, which effectively no longer exists. So some of the things in here are true. And some of them I believe is semantics right there in the opening statement. I'm just being honest. Let me say one more time. Yes, I stick up for NSSF. Yes, I like them more than I do the other side. So I just don't want to put my blinders on and ignore things that are a little bit meh. Okay. Yes, it's true they effectively no longer exist. Yes, it's true that the settlement was reached between plaintiffs and various insurance carriers that held policies with Remington Outdoor Company. That's true. Okay. But they said before here, it was not made by a member of the firearms industry. Well, I think that's semantics. Yes, it's a member of the firearms industry that no longer exists. So there you guys go. Maybe we're both saying the same thing in different ways. I'm not sure. I'm sure you guys are letting me know right now in the comments, especially if I'm wrong. You guys will definitely let me know. Trust me, I know how that goes. But look, Remington effectively doesn't exist anymore, but they do under new companies. But this was a different company that got sued. It wasn't them. It was just their insurance agents. Okay. Well, there were deals reached before, in my opinion, okay? I'm not trying to slander anyone. I don't know. But in my opinion, there were deals made when the old Remington was still a company and when they still existed in their old form. Because I'm sorry, if my insurance companies aren't going to sit there and fight it to the very, very end and still say no, 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 I'm going to say, well, you're fired. And I'm going to find a better insurance company, right? Speaking of better insurance companies that won't capitulate, literally, guys, go check out Right to Bear if you're thinking about any self-defense insurance. The link's down there in the description. It does help the channel, but I'm being dead serious when I say that. And no, you guys shouldn't have to get firearms insurance to be able to carry. Right to Bear thinks that. So do I. I'm not saying you have to have it or you should have to have it, but in today's day and age with how much everybody sues, I'd seriously think about it. And I know for a fact they're a company that won't capitulate. I just did a 15-minute video talking about that on Locals. So go check that out, and I won't bore you guys anymore. But there is a link in the description with some awesome perks from PSA if you sign up. And if you use my link, it's a way you can help support the channel totally free. But it just reminded me of that. So whatever. It wasn't them. It was their insurance companies. And look, it was not made by a member of the firearms industry. Sure, I get it. Because that company doesn't exist anymore. But hold on a minute. Could you say, well, hold on a minute. Germany never did this in the 1930s and 40s either, because that leader's dead. They said was not made. Okay, well, look. Was past tense. The lawsuit started when the original Remington was still a company. But yet was not made, meaning current time, like the other day, when the $73 million, I get it. They were defunct. So you guys can take for that for whatever it's worth. But I don't think it's 100% fair to say no members of the firearms industry had anything to do with it. Well, I don't know. You guys can think about that and decide on your own. Okay. As part of the bankruptcy court proceedings, the assets of ROC, this is Remington, is what they're referring to, were sold at auction in September of 2020. Remington Outdoor Company, which owned Bushmaster brand, effectively ceased to exist as a going concern. Ceased to exist as a going concern. I don't understand what that means at the end there. I literally don't. Effectively ceased to exist as a going concern. That's what it says. The lawsuit, however, continued against the estate of Remington Outdoor Company, essentially ROC's insurers and their insurance policies in effect at that time. And I do understand how that goes. So there was a settlement made by the insurance companies of, at that time, a member of the firearms industry, which is technically no longer a member of the firearms industry because they went bankrupt and they were sold off. Okay? Now, here's what I think they're trying to get at with this, and I want to reiterate it one more time before I read anymore. If you guys want to boycott Remington, because a bunch of you said you did in the comments, you can't boycott the same Remington whose insurers reached a settlement because that Remington doesn't exist anymore. You'd be now choosing to boycott different companies. And I don't have any evidence, and I don't think so either, if you want to know my honest opinion, that the current owners of Remington had anything to do with this. I don't think they supported it. And I'd like to think, because I don't know for sure, but I'd like to think that they would have kept fighting it and not done a settlement. The current people that own Remington. So there you go. If you don't like Remington for other reasons or you do like them, that's totally fine. I don't care if you like them or not. But I'm not calling for any type of cancel culture against them because I don't really like cancel culture anyways. And you can't even take it out on the company that originally got sued because they've already been dissolved. Okay. Look, I have whole theories on why the insurance company may or may not have paid this. I think there was a lot going on. This is just my opinion only. Obviously, somebody made a deal with the devil, in my opinion, okay? In my opinion. And that's why I think it's very, very important with insurance. I know it sounds like I'm just making a big plug. I'm not. And yes, it does help the channel, of course, but that's why I'm like really happy that I'm with Right to Bear for my insurance, because I know the people that own that company, they ain't going to do it, literally. And I know these people personally and professionally. And trust me, the two brothers that started Palmetto State Armory, which is who owns Right to Bear, they ain't going to do it. They ain't going to make a deal with the devil. And I think it's very, very important to think about it. Okay. If you guys want to boycott, you can boycott, because you guys have been hanging out with me for a while on here. I never tell you guys what you should do, because first of all, you wouldn't listen to me anyways. And I don't like it when the former vice president or all these bureaucrats tell me what to do. So certainly you don't want me to tell you what to do. But with that said, I'm not boycotting them, the current companies that exist right now. And I would actually be happy if you guys didn't either. Not because I know anyone from Remington, not because I support them. Look, I probably won't even get an invite to SHOT Show because I'm being critical of a couple of things NSSF said. I shouldn't say that. I didn't go last year anyway, so, or this past one. I shouldn't say last year, last month. I might go to one in the future. I have nothing against NSSF. I just think a couple things they're saying. Look, if we're going to call the other side out for half truths, we need to tell the whole truth. Yes, a member of the firearms industry was sued. Yes, their insurance companies paid, but that member of the firearms industry is a former member of the firearms industry, we could say, because there's the same name is now owned by two separate companies. All right. Let me go through here. The settlement also does not alter the fundamental facts of the case. And yes, I knew that too. This was over marketing. They had said, this is what the Supreme Court was thinking about. Consider your man card reissued. That was the marketing statement that Bushmaster, owned by Remington Outdoors Companies, had put out. And they tried to say that Lanza used this Bushmaster gun and did all these things because of this. Well, that's BS, because they marketed to children, right? That was their big claim. And still was and is all the way up to the other day when it was settled. Well, that's why I started this off the way I did. Killed his mother in a sleep with a .22. A gun that, as of right now, they're not even trying to ban, by the way. That's what started all this that morning. Look, they're going to try to ban them all. But as of right now, even the other side, the gun grabbers say, well, you can have a .22 bolt action, right? I can't remember if it was a semi-auto or a bolt action, but I believe it was a Savage that he used. A .22 long rifle. Killed his mother. Took the AR out of the gun locker, along with the Sega 12 and the Glock. You don't hear much about the Glock or the Sega, do you? Only the Bushmaster, only Remington. But he took the other ones with him. He did. His mother lawfully purchased the firearm. So if they were marketing to children, why was it germane? Because his mother, who was an adult at the time she purchased it, actually purchased the firearm. Okay, let's make that clear. And that's why I went down the whole history lesson thing. Should she be held responsible? I don't know. You can't hold his mom responsible, though, physically in any type of earthly courts, because she's no longer on this earth. She's dead. Okay. I think like two people said it was atrocious what the former vice president said. Dozens of people said attacked Lanza's mom, and then the rest attacked me. And I'm like, geez, oh, Pete's people. What are you going to do to his mom? What can you do? I don't know. How am I supposed to judge her? Even if she was alive, I could talk to her, maybe, right, and get more information, but I still wouldn't be capable of judging her. I mean, if I was able to literally judge somebody's soul, I'd be deeming myself as a god, wouldn't I? Yeah, I'm not a god. So I digress. So we're going to go on here. The plaintiffs never produced any evidence that Bushmaster's advertising had any bearance or influence over Nancy Lanza's decision to legally purchase a Bushmaster rifle, nor on the decision to murder Adam Lanza to steal that rifle, kill his mother in her sleep, and go on to commit the rest of this of his horrendous acts. I agree with them. They did never prove that. They never proved that. That's why I wish somebody made a deal with somebody, clearly. I wish they would have never paid this lawsuit, because the Supreme Court of Connecticut That's the court precedent that worried me at that time and still does, even though it's been a few years. Remington can be sued. The fact that it wasn't dismissed outright and they could still be sued, that was the major problem. That's why I say precedent. I'm also talking about precedent in the court of public opinion. I just want to remind you guys of what I'm talking about here. But I agree with what they just said. The plaintiffs never produced any evidence. That is true. And it says, we renew our sincere sympathy for the victims of this unspeakable tragedy and all victims of violence committed through the misusing of any firearm. I agree, and I said that in my video the other day. But the fact remains that modern sporting rifles are the most popular rifle in America. I said that too. By the way, my video was before this statement came out, obviously. With over 20 million sold to law-abiding Americans and rifles of any kind. There's weird wording in here. I'm having a hard time reading some of this. Let's see. With over 20 million sold to law-abiding Americans and rifles. So apparently rifles bought AR-15s and are exceedingly rarely used in crimes. Okay. Oh, I get it. It's just a really, really long sentence. The most popular sporting rifle owned by 20 million law-abiding Americans and rifles of any kind are exceedingly rarely used in crime. Okay, that was a really long sentence. It was a little hard to get through, but I agree. I agree, and I talked about that stuff myself. All right, let's go to this Supreme Court decision. The Connecticut Supreme Court wrote in its Soto v. Bushmaster 4-3 opinion, the plaintiffs allege that the defendants' wrongful advertising magnified the lethality of the Sandy Hook massacre by inspiring Lanza or causing him to select a more efficiently deadly weapon for his attack. Proving such a casual link at trial may prove to be a Herculean task. So that was them saying at that time, the Supreme Court said, look, for you guys to actually win this case may be a Herculean task, okay? Yeah, I actually agree with that. I'm going to come back and read the rest of it in just a second. But here's what actually happened. They said, you may never actually win this lawsuit. It's going to be almost impossible. That's what a Herculean task means, right? Unless you're Hercules. So, but they did say the case could go on, and they still said they could be sued. So there was two things that happened. No, the facts of the matter, which the NSSF is correct. The court never agreed that the facts of the matter proved that they did any of this. That's not what happened. But what did happen, as I reported on back in 2019 and again the other day, just the fact that they set a Supreme Court precedent in that state and said they could be sued, in my opinion, was part of that dangerous slippery slope. The fact that the suit could even go on. Yeah, they said in the decision when they said the suit could still go on that good luck winning this. You're going to have a snowball's chance in heck to win this. It would require a Herculean task to win it. That's all true. And the NSSF is accurately representing that, and I'm glad they did, because I generally do agree with the NSF statement. Just not quite all of it, to be fair. So how can it be? Look, just because they said it's going to be difficult for you guys to win, but we're still going to let the case go on, they should have dismissed it outright. And if they would have just dismissed it, they wouldn't have gotten mired in years and years later of all the attorney's fees adding up, litigation fees, all these crazy things going on. They probably wouldn't have had the need to settle, in my opinion. So regardless if the fact that the Connecticut Supreme Court said, hey, it's going to be a Herculean task for you guys to prove anything, the fact that they just let the case even go on was a huge, huge loss in court by the Supreme Court, aka a precedent-setting court. So here's what I'm getting at. Next time there's a company in Connecticut, what's going to happen? Because they ignored the Lawful Commerce Protection Act, right? They ignored that in this Supreme Court decision. What's the lower court going to do if somebody tries to sue another company? Let's just go with Connecticut for argument's sake. Because trust me, other states often use other states' decisions too. They'll say, well, hold on. We want to sue here in Michigan. Look what happened in Connecticut. It doesn't set legal precedent per se, but what some states' Supreme Courts do heavily influence what other states do. And we've seen that many, many times before, not just with guns, with all kinds of things. So here's what I would question, and you guys can give me the answer in the chat right now what you think, or if you're watching it afterwards in the comments. 4-3 decision. Remington can be sued, yet it'll be a Herculean task for you to win the lawsuit. We need these cases to be dismissed like immediately, because if you win a lawsuit, you still lose. That's my opinion. You still lose. You lose attorney's fees. You might lose in the court of public opinion. If you settle, you're going to lose even further, obviously, right? So they said lawsuits can prevail against this firearms company. That actually happened. That was a real court case. Yes, they said you'll probably never win it, but they said that the suit could proceed. Now, if somebody goes to sue another company, let's just still stick with Connecticut, although, like I said earlier, it could influence all the states. Trust me, it often does, as a matter of just past practice. Is that lower district court going to be able to say, nope, we dismiss it immediately? Or what the Supreme Court said, no, a firearms manufacturer can be sued. So they're going to have to come back again and say, well, you can sue them, but I doubt you'll win. I don't know. You guys let me know. Maybe there's other lawyers in there in the chat right now. Maybe some people that are watching them pretend to be lawyers. I'm not sure. Did I have a chat pop up, Linda? I'm going to come back into this article in 1 second here. Marco Polo, thanks for the super chat, man, and for being a channel member. He says, more content, please. I think I put out about 5 videos and live streams just last week, but I'll try to do a little more. I think he means keep it coming. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I did, between locals and YouTube. Let's see, 3 live streams last week. Yeah, I think about 6 pieces of video content I put out. Denny's plant-based journey with the super chat and a channel member. Thanks for the support, man. He said, bet at 2 p.m. Yeah, it's true. You stayed up all night playing Call of Duty, didn't you? Yeah, right. Probably waiting for your government check. Just glad you're here. Keep it up. Oh, man. Yeah, I was sitting there playing Call of Duty, drinking that Gamer Mountain Dew, and on my government check. No, I was out plowing snow trying to make a living, man. And I know you were joking. Thanks. The Reptile guys with a super chat and a channel member. Thanks, man. Channel members, Patreon supporters, local supporters, I'm going to put out a post either late tonight or tomorrow because my days and nights are now turned around. And I'm going to start doing a monthly Q&A where you guys can ask me whatever. And then I'll make a public YouTube video so everybody can get content off of it. Make it a win-win for everyone. Give you guys a little extra perks, and then give everybody else content that supports in other ways. Reptile guys, thanks, dude. Super chat channel member. I appreciate it, man. Best fully dressed stream on than that. Yes, this is gonna stay fully dressed. LOL. Always look forward to Friday nights. Thank you for your time, bub. We appreciate you all. Well, thanks, dude. I appreciate all of you guys this time, because if you guys weren't here, then why would I be here, right? Thanks, dude. I am going to go back and share my screen and finish reading this, because there is some more good information in this post by... Here's what I'm thinking, guys. Really, if you want my opinion, we should be encouraged by the NSSF statement. There's good information in it, but we shouldn't just overly dismiss it and say, nothing to see here. Don't even worry about it. Well, read that article I put in my video the other day. They're ramping up a whole new effort going on right now. Trust me. And there's a lot of people that do read NPR. Look, I don't want to read NPR. I'm not being brainwashed by it, but I picked them for a reason, because there's a lot of people who do read this stuff. Trust me. Some very heavy-hitting quotes in here of all the things they're wanting to do. That's what I mean by the court of public opinion, okay? Rudy Fenny, man. Thanks, man. Thanks for the super chat and a channel member. He's got to run. Don't run too fast, dude. It's super slippery out there. I know you're in Michigan. Thanks, dude. Have a good night. He says, I have to run, everyone. Trying to get loaded up to go camping for a couple days. Stay safe. Glad to see everyone here. Will you be safe, dude? And I'd really like to hang out with you someday. By the way, I'm going to South Carolina for you guys that live in the South. And then I'm going to do another Michigan hangout here. I don't know, spring, summer. I got to talk to Pillbox and a couple other people. So hopefully I can hang out with some of you. Hopefully I can hang out with some of you guys in real life soon. And then whether it's in the South or up here in the North in Michigan. All right. I'm going to finish reading this. Okay. NSSF believes that the court incorrectly allowed this claim to go forward to discover. I completely agree. By the way, they got what's called discovery, which I talked about, and they're bragging about that, talking about how they got all the documents that they're going to be releasing, whatever that means, all of the information from Remington. That's a loss in and of itself that it was able to go forward to discovery. I completely agree with NSSF. The court incorrectly allowed this to go forward. We remain confident ROC would have prevailed if this case had proceeded to trial. I agree with them on that too. Finally, this settlement orchestrated by insurance companies has no impact on the strength and efficacy of the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, PLCAA. I agree with them, and I also disagree, but let me finish, which remains the law of the land. PLCAA will continue to block baseless lawsuits that attempt to blame lawful industry companies for the criminal acts of third parties. Okay, yes, it's still the law of the land. I agree. Am I saying the whole firearms industry is over right now? No, I'm not saying that. I wasn't saying that the other day, but I said this is a slippery slope, but I can see the direction this could potentially be heading in. And I also mentioned something about if we just all sit back and let it happen too, right? That's why we have to stay involved at every step with all this stuff. But to say it had no impact of the strength and efficacy of it, I don't agree with that. And here's why. Now, I wish it had no effect. I wish the Supreme Court, actually, it shouldn't have even gone to the Supreme Court of Connecticut. The very first court could have said, no, we're throwing this out right now because with prejudice, meaning it can't come back because there's the PLCAA in effect, and that says you can't sue for this. So, like, it's over before it even started. I wish that would have happened, but hey, it continued. And I get it. They said, even in the 4-3 case, they said, hold on, it'll be a Herculean task for you to actually truly win this. And I fully agree with the NSSF 100% that I don't see how they could have ever won. But the fact that it was allowed to continue to the discovery portion, that it was allowed to keep dragging out is another way to word this in layman's terms. I think that by sheer definition was somewhat of a weakening of that federal law. And people seem to think, now trust me, they'll use it against you if they want to use it against you. There's a lot of hypocrisy and a lot of double standards with all this stuff. But I will say this. Just because something's written in federal statute, it's written on paper, online, in a document, it's just like those pieces of parchment paper, our founding documents. They mean a lot. They absolutely mean a lot. This was them laying down the law of the land for the greatest experiment on self-governance of all time. So yes, it means a lot. But it doesn't mean anything if there's not people willing to keep it, to fight like hell to keep us from becoming like the rest of the world, communist country, whatever. It's the same thing with this law. You've got, look, the most popular, and the most fortified of all time. Let's go, Brandon. Literally saying, provide an opportunity to hold gun manufacturers and dealers accountable for wrongdoing, despite the persistence of the federal immunity shield for these companies, Biden said in a statement. Together, we can deliver a clear message to gun manufacturers and dealers. They must either change their business models to be part of the solution for the gun violence epidemic, or they will bear the financial cost of their complicity. I don't agree with anything he said. Like, I'm not happy about it. I can't stand it. It's despicable. But just to admit, I don't know, just to say, hey, that didn't weaken it at all. I don't know. What do you guys think? Now, I'm not saying that now the Firearms Protection Act, I'm not saying that is just gone. I'm not trying to run to the opposite end of the spectrum, but I think it's a bit dismissive just to say, let me get the exact quote here. Finally, this settlement orchestrated by insurance companies has no impact on the strength and efficacy. Maybe the settlement itself technically didn't. I think they're technically still correct in their statement, but again, I believe it's semantics because this is all still connected to. And they even acknowledge it themselves by quoting it just above. Obviously, this is still connected with that 4-3 decision from the Supreme Court. You've got the former vice president signing it. You have these gun control groups signing it. You've got the Giffords group signing it. Look, there's still laws that'll say stuff like you can't bake a pie and put it on your windowsill. Literally. Do people enforce that law anymore? No, because nobody cares about it, and it'd be preposterous, and just nobody cares about it. The culture has said we're done with it. The courts, but look, there's still laws technically on the books. Just because something's still the law of the land doesn't mean it's followed. This law of the land was not followed by the Connecticut Supreme Court. They should have just dismissed it outright, in my opinion. And it looks like, by me reading this in the NSSF's opinion, so no, the law didn't get erased. Of course it didn't. But I believe it was at least somewhat undermined. Do you guys agree? I don't know. All right, so that's what happened. I believe there was at least somewhat a precedent, at least in the state of Connecticut, that firearms manufacturers can be sued. That's what I thought in 2019. That's still what I think today. Does that mean they would win the lawsuit? No. Look, causation and correlation can be two different things. Sometimes they're the same, but not always. Look, it doesn't necessarily mean that, like I said, just because they wouldn't have won the lawsuit, and even the Supreme Court said you probably won't win this lawsuit, the fact that they even said they could be sued and it could go on to the discovery, that's still a blow to the federal statute that's supposed to protect from lawsuits. It doesn't say in the federal statute that firearms manufacturers can't lose a lawsuit. It says they can't be sued, and there is a difference, because we all know even most of the time when you win a lawsuit, you're still a big loser in the end. So the fact that it was dismissed, even though they said, look, we will still allow the case to go forward, and we're going to kind of be dismissive of that federal lawsuit, but we don't think you'll win, that still was undermining the federal law, in my opinion. And then, of course, there's the whole court of public opinion that I already talked about. And I'll say this one more time, because this is how I started it with. I like the NSSF. I don't have anything against them. Look, in full disclosure, the other side's argument, because there's two sides to this, whether we want to admit it or not. Like I said, there's the right side of things and the wrong side of things, but right or wrong, you get half the population to believe something. It's a force that you at least have to acknowledge it. Ways to defeat it, ways to defend against it, whatever, right? So look, these guys have their interests. Their interests, in my opinion, are to completely and fundamentally destroy this country, undermine the Second Amendment, right? And get rid of all of it. That's clearly what I think that they want to do. The NSSF, in full disclosure, they are an industry organization. They are an organization that represents the firearms industry. So that's what they do. They put out statements to protect and defend the firearms industry. I want to protect and defend the firearms industry, obviously. Okay. But can we call out little things where we think they went wrong? Sure. Everyone in the firearms industry are not angels, obviously. There's been many, many things happen. And I do agree with the sentiment of the gist of the NSSF statement. I don't know that I could actually prove anything they said wrong, but I think there's some semantics being used in there where they're like, nope, technically the way we worded this, we're not wrong. But I think they're being a little bit too dismissive of this too, to be honest with you. So that's where I am at it. That's where I am at it. And as a whole, I basically agree with nothing that was said by the former vice president or Giffords. I agree with nothing that was said by the lawyers that represented the families. I literally agree with zero. And I do agree with about 90% of what NSSF said. So I'll give you guys my bias to it. I'm like literally infinitely more on the side of what the NSSF said. Don't agree with them 100%, but I agree with literally nothing that the gun grabbing side of things have said. But I did want to quote all this stuff because even though I believe every quote in here is wrong, this still exists. I'll read one more quote and then I'm going to take some questions from you guys if you have them before I get off. It says, thousands of pages of internal Remington company documents can also now be made public, according to Koskoff's law firm. This is the attorney for the victims' families. And then it goes on to quote him. He says, this victory should serve as a wake-up call, not only to the gun industry, but also the insurance and banking companies that prop it up. I talked about this in my previous video. They're going after the banking industry dealing with firearms. Insurance companies. Yeah. For the gun industry, it's time to stop recklessly marketing all guns to all people for all uses and instead ask how marketing can lower risk rather than court it. For the insurance and banking industries, it's time to recognize the financial cost of underwriting companies that elevate profit by escalating risk. Our hope is that this victory will be the first boulder in the avalanche that forces that change. The other side's calling it a victory. I don't agree that it's a victory on its face, and I could argue semantics all day and say it's a proven fact it's not a victory. But when you have the former vice president supporting all this, calling it a victory, from the office of the White House that gets put out to the whole world, what court of, or what are we in right now? So yes, on technicalities and pedantic semantics, there was no victory. They didn't lose in court because that company no longer exists. It's currently owned by, so they got split up. The ammo division got bought by Vista Outdoors. They own companies like Federal, and too many for me to list right now. They own the ammo division. Vista did not own Remington when these insurance companies' policies were written. In my opinion, I don't think that this is any of Vista Outdoors' fault. The rest of the company, we'll just call it that, because it's not. If you want to duck semantics, it's very complicated. This is where I'm not a lawyer and I don't understand the exact way they legally separated everything. But let's just say this in common sense. The rest of Remington, other than their ammo, is owned by a company, as far as I can tell, called Round Hill Group. They're an investment company. I don't know of any Remington firearms being made right now. In fact, I'm going to have to do further research because there may be more than one Round Hill Group. But I saw some preliminary right before the stream started. I was doing research with one of my fellow team members here, and I was on the phone, and he's like, well, we were looking, and they might have an expired LLC, but it might be a different Round Hill. I can't find out much about Round Hill Group. Maybe you guys know. But whoever Round Hill Group is, whether they're currently making Remington firearms or not, whether they ever will or not, I just don't know. But I would not probably hold them responsible either, because, again, they didn't own part of Remington when all of this stuff and whatever deals weren't made. This is the estate of a company called Remington that doesn't exist. So Remington did get sued. Remington insurance companies did pay out $73 million, but that Remington, whose insurance companies paid out $73 million, doesn't exist. Okay, so it can still be true that Remington, that doesn't currently exist anymore, did get sued. It happened. Clearly, there was a settlement. There's a new Remington now, which is owned by Round Hill Group, an investment company, and Vista Outdoors, who owns they're a big conglomerate in the firearms industry. Those two companies have not been sued by this. Those two companies did not settle. In my opinion, if you were to boycott Round Hill Group, if they even sell anything yet or not, I don't know. And definitely with the ammo, with Vista, I don't think that you'd be putting blame on the right person. And it would probably needlessly make those companies suffer because, as far as I know, they didn't make any deals. So there you go. That's my take on all of that. All right. I'm taking a quick look at the chat here. Do you guys have any questions? I can get off right now. It's been about an hour and 20 minutes, but I wouldn't mind hanging out with you guys for a few more minutes. Heck, I'll read through this Taurus magazine while you guys come up with some questions here. I showed this on Locals the other day. This is cool. And by the way, there's something new coming out from Taurus soon. Stay tuned on the channel. You guys are literally going to love it. You guys are going to love it. I might do a Taurus Legos video on Locals tomorrow. Let me know what you guys think. That sounds like fun. Taurus Legos video. Wait till you guys see what's coming out. I have a new offering from Taurus literally sitting right here. I can't show it yet because the release date, not too long, guys. It's not going to be too long, okay? But heck yeah. So I'm going to, I can't say much because trust me, like I like this stuff just as much as you guys do. Let's just say this. The next thing I'm going to show you guys from Taurus, the next new thing, I might do a video on another gun in the meantime. It's something I've been wanting for a couple years, and I know you guys are too. Now, this I even have to be more careful with. By the time 2022 is over, just wait and see what's coming out. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out. Trust me. Stuff I've been told about, but I haven't seen yet. Yeah, a lot. And it's really, really cool. Trust me. James Kawasaki, channel member in a super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. He says, prepare for the worst and pray for the best. God bless. Well, God bless you too, man. Thanks for the encouragement. And that's all we can do, right? You got to prepare for the worst. If not, you're just negligent. But we do need to pray and hope for the best, right? Prayer, hope. Some people are to different extents religious, not religious in here. But even if you're not religious, guys, I'm not going to pass judgment on you. It's not my job. But it's still a really good saying, you know. You got to prepare for the worst and pray, hope for the best, right? And I'm sure there's something that gives you guys hope. I mean, nobody literally thinks that the former vice president was their creator, right? I mean, literally. Let's go, Brandon. No, your rights were endowed by your creator, whoever or whatever you believe that is. And not Brandon. What do you think, Susan? I don't know. Ron Wayne, thanks for the chat. He says, watching the best live stream on the net at C&T Designs. Well, shout out to both of you guys. C&T, keep doing what you're doing, fighting the good fight. Speaking a little bit smaller channels on YouTube. Shout out to his channel, and thanks for being a channel member, Ron. Misty Wayne, there she is. I sent more of her decals out to you guys last week. Some of you guys got some of her brand and stuff. She makes these for the channel. In other words, for you guys. This is pretty cool. Taurus has changed so much over the years, guys. Just look at this. This is, okay, so this is like a guns and ammo. Taurus sent this to me. I don't know how I got it. It just literally showed up in the mail. And I was like, huh. Bainbridge, Georgia was on the outside. What's this? And it's a cool magazine. I don't know where these are for sale or what the deal is, but Taurus has been making guns since like 1939. They've been importing in the United States since 1982, so 40 years. And a lot's changed. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why. There's several reasons, many reasons, but a lot's changed in just the last few years, right? A lot of the new G series, G2C, G3C, G3, GX4, TX22, TH series. So many of these that you guys really like. And that's just semi-autos, 85, 856. I could keep going about all of the cool revolvers that a lot of you guys are into. But they've moved from Miami, Florida to Georgia, which was a really, really good thing. From the way the story was told to me, it was just completely cramped up down there. Real estate was at a premium, like meaning couldn't get more real estate. So they moved out of Florida, out of Miami, went up to Bainbridge, Georgia, out in the country, and built like, I believe it's a couple 100,000 square foot. It says it in this article. New facility. I've not been there. I probably would have actually gone there by now, except for with all of the restrictions that have gone on. It's made things complicated over the last couple of years, but huge facility. That now gives them room to have proper amounts of customer service. Hey, one of my friends, I don't know if he's watching right now, had an issue, RPS GT, and he talked about on locals, had a feeding issue with one of his G3 pistols. Are these pistols perfect? No. But I said, hey, dude, call customer service. I hope he has a good experience. I've called Taurus customer service a couple times, and they actually did great. You know, they were real nice on the phone, took care of the problem immediately. So, yeah, their new facility, I think they're really stepping up, guys, a lot. So if you've had problems with customer service before, I can't guarantee anything. I don't work there, okay? I know people that do, but I don't work there. And they're not paying me to say this, okay? They're not giving me any money at all, actually. Taurus has never given me one penny. I've never asked for any money. So I'm just telling you guys what I genuinely believe. Just call customer service, see if you have an issue. I know people have called it 10, 15 years ago, and it wasn't so good sometimes, maybe even 5 years ago. I've had people answer the phone immediately and be very friendly the couple times I've called. Here's their CEO. He doesn't even look like their regular CEO, and I haven't met him face-to-face yet, but as far as I can tell, doesn't act like it either. This company's pretty cool. Look at that. Look at that huge animal. Wow. He looks like he's younger than me. His name's Brett Voorhees, and there's an interesting interview in here. And I'm not going to read the interview and bore you guys, but you can see he's into doing competitive shooting. It's just a really cool company. Very, very innovative. Very like new school and like really, really trying to work hard and not only make great guns, but be receptive to you guys. And that's what's cool. It's like so many of you guys, Taurus had no idea who I was until like a year ago, but you guys kept getting a hold of them being like, hey, 2A Edu, like some people said, and I'm not saying this, but some people said he has the best or the most or whatever Taurus videos on all of YouTube. And here's where you guys get to have advantage of that now that they know who I am, whatever, right? They'll send me guns early for me to review. And that way I can get you guys the info as soon as possible. But also I have a direct line where I can say, hey, my viewers are looking for this, or they want that, or here's a suggestion. Here's what they're wanting you to do in the future. Here's what you're doing now that they don't like. And it's not like, oh, 2A Edu calls and they're just going to do it. It's not like that, obviously. I don't have that much power. I'm a small channel, but they do actually listen. They do listen to what you guys have to say. And there's going to be a new model coming out. I can't say much more than this. It's going to be something where a lot of you, not all of you, different strokes for different folks, but a lot of you are going to go, wow, they did listen to what we had to say, because there's something coming out that a lot of you guys have wanted for a while in the very near future. And I know of stuff that's going to be coming out throughout the rest of the year, actually, that some of you guys are calling for right now. And I'll just say this, maybe some of the stuff you guys want will actually be coming out over the next few months. But I can tell you for sure, because I literally have one like, well, okay, I flipped the boxes around. There's some boxes right there. I'll just say that. And there's some boxes right there. Let's just say I have something physically here so I can prove there's something that I know like hundreds and hundreds of people have really, really said that they wanted. So were there any good questions? Linda, you can pop up here. If not, I can get off. I'll be over there in the I'll be over on locals tomorrow. At least one stream tomorrow, if not two. I'll probably do a supporter stream too tomorrow. I know Scott says I'm noticing lots of other gun tubers jumping on the Taurus bandwagon. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because they genuinely like their products. Maybe they do more than me. Look, guys, I was into Taurus before Taurus was cool, right? I can say that. Matt Matrix liked to review the 45 cal AR. Dude, that thing is awesome. Again, I can't promote here, but go over to locals. I've done some more stuff on that. But yeah, dude, Pro 2A Tactical. Speaking of cool companies, oh yeah. Look, guys, 99% of the companies that reach out to me, I'm like, maybe. Usually it ends up being no. I usually seek out companies that I'm interested in, and there's some really, really cool companies out there right now. Taurus being one of them. Like I said, their CEO's cool. The people that I know personally are cool. They're literally listening to what you guys are saying. I promise you they are. Like, I can't tell you everything that goes on behind the scenes, and it's not me trying to sound like an elitist. It's just they have dates that stuff comes out, and it's called an NDA. Until it comes out, you can't talk about it. And that's even like the really, really big creators can't, right? But trust me, they're literally listening to you guys. And when you guys leave your comments, when you guys leave your suggestions, like, look, if somebody just says, hey, 2A Edu, right now this, I don't just call Taurus up and say it that day, but I keep a mental list and even a physical list. And when I'm on the phone with them, I'll say, oh, by the way, lots of people lately are saying this. And in some instances, I'm like, this one particular person brought this up, right? Same thing with Pro 2A Tactical. Awesome company. I've been giving out some of those shirts that they gave me to give to you guys, and that's another company. Second Amendment supporting, period, end of story, no compromise type company, and you can actually call and talk to them if you have questions. I know there's probably some viewers in the chat who have bought their stuff, so they're another really, really cool company that I like. Same thing with PSA. I've been talking about them quite a bit lately. And Right to Bear Insurance. Look, I don't care if you guys want insurance or not. I don't care if you guys want an AR or a Taurus. But a lot of people do ask me about these things. And those are some good companies going on right now. PSA, literally founded by two brothers. They were in their garage a little more than a decade ago. And huge, huge gun people behind the scenes. Not just because they're in the firearms business, but truly pro Second Amendment supporting people. And they said, look, we just need to get as many ARs out as possible. Now tons of AKs and many, many other things, right? I guess, and we were not supposed to call it a Glock clone. We'll call it the Dagger, right? The Dagger it's called. So many things. But originally ARs, they said, look, Of course, they want to make profit, and they sell so many of them. They are a profitable company, and that's awesome because just like the NSSF, I want the industry to stay alive too. Even though there's some companies that, the industry, we can't let it get shut down. But they said, no, we're going to sell these as cheap as possible just to try to get them in the hands of as many people as possible. AAC, I showed the ammo here recently. I'm going to be doing a review of that shortly. DPMS, all owned by Palmetto. JJE Holdings, which is Palmetto. Right to Bear Insurance, so they're a cool company. Pro 2A Tactical has the same principle. They're not as big as Palmetto, but heck, they've got some awesome deals right now that I can't promote on here, and I'm not, Susan, but some really good specials for Pro 2A Tactical on my locals. Nothing against you guys here. Locals is free to join, or you can support, just like YouTube's free to join, or you can support. It's just literally, they're cracking down even further now. Right, Susan? So there you go. Randy Smith, anyone know if the Taurus Spectrum is any good? Saw a really good price. Do me a favor. I'll tell you if it's good or not, and let me know where you found that at. Not here because we can't, but if you can get a hold of me somewhere else, I don't know if you have my email, I wouldn't mind another one. Does that answer your question? Now, there's some people that said they had, that it was junk and they had some problems with them, and that's possible. Mine, I've had great luck with. Very comfortable. I really like it. I think it's a nice little gun. It didn't feel the steel. It didn't feed the steel case too good, which would normally be a no-go for me. I've done a couple videos on the Spectrum, by the way. Check my Taurus playlist on the channel. Anybody, if you're new here, you just forgot whether I did it or not, definitely check it out there. I like it, and I would like to get another one. What was that message you just took away? Linda helps me behind the scenes, guys, with my pen and my thing here. Thanks for being a channel supporter, Scott. Huge supporter. Some of that swag that you guys have been getting in the last week, he gave me. I pass it on to you guys. So support me in many ways, and I appreciate it. He said, if it's Taurus, you heard it first here. I don't know about always first, but let's just say this. Coming up here, I'll probably put a teaser video out in about 7 days, and I'll let you guys know, like how I have been. I'll say midnight this date. So I'll do another midnight release if you guys literally want to see it here first. I'm telling you guys the truth. And of course, I'll share more info because I can't, guys, here's the deal. There's a YouTube rule. You can't promote gun makers or manufacturers. So I'm not doing any promotion, Susan, and your lovely team who are watching the stream right now. Geez, I think one of the team members just unsubbed. They'll be back. Tell them to come back, Susan. Say, Congress, make it a law that the YouTube team members have to say sub to 2A EDU. Now they'll be back. But trust me, I'll do the promotions over on Locals. It's another site where there is no censorship, and I can touch guns while I'm live. And if you guys aren't already there, you should be. But meanwhile, I'm going to put out that initial review on YouTube midnight in a couple weeks. I'll let you know soon. Not all of you. Again, one more time. But so many of you guys are going to be stoked. Like, it's really, really cool. Trust me, really cool. Gail says, I want to see it on Locals first. Huh, interesting. Interesting. Linda emailed you. Check the email. We're really excited about one of the things, but we have a little issue with the other ones. And yeah, the delivery sucks. The delivery service sucks, but thank you. And we will post a picture on Locals later, but she hooked baby girl up with presents, but she has one of them right now, and that's awesome. Thank you. Anyone who sends my baby girl presents, it makes me really happy. So thank you so much. You want to see it on Locals first. I don't know. I can't put it out until midnight because even on Locals, there's no type of censorship there, but I could get in trouble. We don't want to get in trouble, right? No, I just have to be respectful. If I make an agreement with a company like that, hey, look, because they're doing the whole channel a big favor, guys, by letting us have access to it early so I can sit there and give you guys a thorough review, get it out to you as soon as possible. So by the time they show up at your LGS, or I might post a deal for it on Locals, you've already been able to see my review and other people's. So Ego Riser says, Susan Wiki. She's a real beauty, isn't she? She wants Congress to pass a law. She said, I'd love to ban more firearms content. And I'd love you guys to pass a law. Something like that, right? More laws. Ugh. C&T Designs did a plasma cut, free CRS, absolutely. From what I understand, he's on his way down to Georgia right now. Not Georgia, Florida. I'm thinking about Florida and Georgia because of Taurus. Florida. Crump did a video short that I watched. That's all I know, guys. Some type of, we'll just call it proceeding or something, right? So there you go. God bless him and his family. That's another big slippery slope. If him or the other guy gets nailed for this, that's going to be a big, 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 big problem. And I've talked a lot about that. And hopefully we get some more updates soon so I can do some more reporting on it. But yes, politics is downstream from culture. And I'm glad you reminded of that. I'm glad you reminded me of. There's just so much stuff going on in my head. I don't have a script, guys, that I go through. I'll take a couple notes. Like I wrote on here, Round Hill Group investment company. That's just because, like, quite frankly, I've never even heard of them. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, guys, I did have one note on here. See, I'll write myself 4 things, and I forget half of them. I was going to do the frames and receivers ATF rule today. I did the braces last week. That's going to be next week. I woke up at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Started the stream just 2 hours later. That included waking up, getting cleaned up, getting dressed, getting a little bit of caffeine in me. And I didn't have time to finish my research on the frames and receivers. So that'll be next week. I know last week I said I'd do it. Last week I was originally going to do it. I didn't have time for both because there was a lot to the braces. This week I said, well, we'll talk about Remington and just hang out a little bit. Next week I will talk about the new AFT rule on frames and receivers. Because we do need to talk about it. We got a little bit of time. It's not like it's going to go into effect next week, but we need to talk about it as soon as possible. And then we'll talk about it, I guess. I guess we'll talk about it when it gets closer. Because lots of people are going to want to know, right? The magazine, yeah. It's cool. It's called Bullfighter. And it's by Guns and Ammo. So this was a special edition they put out. You can pause that real quick if you guys want to take a screenshot. Interesting interview with the CEO. I'd like to have him on a live stream, actually. Like, he's actually just like a cool dude. Like, does this look like one of the top firearms manufacturers in the world CEO? No. Like, you shouldn't have to look a certain way, but you know what I'm saying. Let's face it, we're all stereotypical. You expect somebody with gray hair and a suit, and he definitely looks like he's younger than me, doesn't he? I'm telling you guys, there's a lot of stuff going on with this company. Wow, look at that big revolver. Leonard Pond, how can I get my hands on one of those magazines? Okay, well, that would be a good question for me to ask. I don't know. I don't know. But it's a nice magazine. Here's why I don't know, because it literally just showed up at my house from Bainbridge, Georgia. And so I don't know, but I will find out. TX22 they've got in here. Where was the TX? There's the TX magazines that I just saw. What about the Taurus? I'm not really a red dot person per se, but I've been trying to get used to it more and more. I think what I'm liking the most, and it might just be due to the dot itself, but I'm really liking the GX4 Toro. Because as you guys know, I have a regular GX4. I have the Midnight Bronze GX4 that I bought with my own money. And if you guys are looking for the best deal that I know of on a GX4 right now, not the Toro, but just the cheap regular version, check out my recent locals post, guys. But I have a few of them. You guys can here's where you guys can make fun of me. I love the Toro. I can actually really, really easily acquire that Hollow Sum 407K on my GX4 Toro. I have the G3 Toro, the G3C Toro. I'm still not carrying a Toro yet. And maybe I just suck, right, at guns. I don't know. Or maybe it's just because I'm kind of getting old. I'm getting close, though. I'm getting close to actually carrying the GX4 Toro, which they're showing on the front. Right now, the regular one, I still feel more comfortable with. I can still instinctively, like, you can't truly do it. And I know this just from listening to, testimony of people who have gone through actually having to use a firearm in self-defense. you can never truly induce that real stress on yourself. But I've tried to induce like fake stress on myself, and it's still somehow more instinctively for me to go to those irons than it is the dot. But I'm actually getting close, guys. I've been practicing behind the scenes. Look, I'm not some tactical operator guy. A lot of this stuff that I do, it's still worth it, and it's still for the channel because I can let you guys know what's going on. But I'm not going to film myself like how to sight in a red dot and how to shoot good with it, because it's just not really my forte in strength in life. But I have been practicing, and I'm almost there. I'm almost there. And like I said, make fun of me. You're like, dude, you've had red dot ready guns for like a year now, and you're still just now almost there. Sure, tease me if you want. But from where I started from, my opinion on red dots or green dots, whatever, on pistols, to where I'm almost ready to carry one with an optic on it, I've actually come a long way with it. And I think it's cool that they make both, you know, for people that are like, no, I'll just never, ever want an optic. For a little bit cheaper, go that route. But then they've got the Toro where you can put the optic on there. Where was that last chat, Linda? It just went away on me there real quick. Wow, he has a pet goat, LOL. Well, we do, actually. Now, is there any more that are actual questions? Because I'm going to get off here in just a little bit. C&T Designs and Arms. Write your Congress critters, please. Get loud and make them put the AFT back on their leash. You know, I kind of started off and I said, dude, is it writing your congressman that matters? Is it voting that matters? Look, there's going to be different opinions in the chat on there right now. Some of you guys are like, is it even worth it? Well, you probably have to do all of it. Just remember, the most popular and the most fortified of all time. And that's very frustrating. I get it. Yeah, you probably should be still writing your congressman. You probably should still vote. But also don't forget about the court of public opinion. Don't forget about the culture war. And I think those are very, very important. And that's why I wanted to talk about the Remington thing, because there's lawyers that have YouTube channels that might know all of the exact specific stuff to say legally, and they might do a better job on all their videos, period, than me. But no matter what, they're going to do a better job on a lot of that. But I'm not going to say nobody's talked about it, because I'm sure some have, but I wanted to kind of talk about like some of the more cultural implications. Precedent. Was there precedent set? Well, yeah. Arguably, debatably, maybe there's a semantics argument that no precedent was set by the Supreme Court that the lawsuit could go forward, the Supreme Court of Connecticut. Okay? But then there's other things that are a little less to prove, but you just know they're going on. And ultimately, a lot of these things end up being the most important. Things like the court of public opinion. And I know for a fact, with a lot of the American populace, there was a huge victory in the court of public opinion with that $73 million suit. They say of the gun industry. Sure, of the gun industry, meaning a gun company that's no longer there. I get all that. But, yeah, I just wanted to talk about it. Just give my perspective. Some of you may agree with me a little bit. Some of you may not agree with me at all. And some of you may be like me with the NSSF statements. You might be like, hey, dude, I agree with 90% of what you said, but 10% of it, I beg to differ. And that's cool, because I'm not here to try to tell any of you how to think. I just wanted to talk about the side of this that I don't hear talked about quite as much. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not going to keep beating the Remington thing with a dead horse. I just want to talk about it one more time. I can tell it's not that interesting of a topic to a lot of people. But, yeah, I figured I'd talk about it because a lot of people are. And people are like, but 2A EDU, there's updates on this. Yeah, I know. I'm plowing snow. There's professional YouTubers out there who are awesome people. And I hope their channels get bigger and they can make even more money. That's awesome. But it's just reality for me is that's not the case. There's news breaking. Sometimes I break it within 5 minutes if I can get to it. Like my heart and desire is to be right on top of all of it. But sometimes I'm just like, dude, I'm a half hour into plowing snow and I've got 12 more hours till this storm's plowed. And that's how I make a living and feed my family. So I have to take care of that stuff first. And sometimes it does take me a few days. Sometimes I'm so busy working, the story's kind of like a moot point and it's already gone. So some things I just don't report on at all because of that. But Yeah, I was familiar with the NSSF statement. I obviously had some thoughts about it, so I talked about it tonight a little bit. All right, let me take a peek here. Any more questions, gun related? Anything to do with whatever, Linda? I'm just gonna take one last call here. Come on, you guys email me like 40, 50 times combined a week. I don't have time to read all of them. I do have some emails, guys, that you've emailed me that I'm going to try to catch up on over the weekend here. I at least read them. I don't have time to reply to all of them just because, again, this isn't my full-time job, YouTube. Like, I actually work more than full-time and then still somehow find time to do this on the side. So it's nice, though, when someone asks a question publicly, because then if I answer it for one person, maybe it answers it for 5 people or 10 people, right? Oh, Coasty, I'm not young, but am I the only one that has issues with 80-year-old presidents? Well, I don't know. President? That's a subjective term nowadays. The former vice president. Why do you call him the former vice president? Someone just asked me again. Because he is the former vice president. So there you go. Thanks, Matt Matrix. Thanks, man. I appreciate that you guys appreciate. In other words, it's encouragement, right? I appreciate the encouragement, man. What's my favorite 22 rifle? Well, I still actually kind of have a liking to that Glenfield Model 60, which my dad still has today. It's a single shot bolt action 22 off my parents' front porch with my dad. You know, there's something about that that's pretty cool. I've also had a Savage 64F for a long time, semi-auto. That's pretty cool. I actually like shooting the AR with the CMMG conversion kit. That's just fun, man, to dump a bunch of 22. That's pretty cool. There you go. There's a few. It's hard to say the favorite, okay? Because that's, you know what I'm saying. Oh, somebody's heard of Glenfield. Yeah, I think it was an old off-brand back then. He's had it forever. I think he told me he bought it from like the local Sears or Montgomery Ward's, one of those department stores back when they, back when you could just walk into a department store and purchase a firearm. I can't remember what he said he spent for it. I'll have to get some more info from my dad, and maybe I should do that video, the first gun I ever shot, because he does have it still. 7.5 FK and AK. So let's see here. Maybe he's in Alaska and he's into the 7.5 FK. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. He says, hey guys, Carbon Spider rocks. Check him out. So he is giving Carbon Spider a shout out. I will have to check Carbon Spider out myself, I believe. It looks like he's in the chat right now. So, hey, thanks for the super chat. And I'm sure your friend appreciates it. I will make a note and go check out Carbon Spider later. Okay? So thanks, man. I don't like to give just my own endorsement because I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. I will check your channel out afterwards. Carbon Spider 7.5 FK and AK may have a channel also. I don't know. So maybe he's giving someone else a shout out and forgot to give himself a shout out. I can't watch near as much YouTube as I'd like to, guys. I've been running this business by myself for a while now, and it's just I do a lot of stuff. But I know a lot of you guys are making awesome content out there, and I like to watch as much of it as I can. I'm just taking another peek here. Yeah, something like a Marlin, right, Old Coasty? How you doing, Old Coasty? Good to see you, man. Gail wants to know, is the new Taurus going to be my favorite? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be my favorite. That's another tough question, okay? Jeez, oh, Pete. I really like the new Taurus that's coming out. I think a lot of you guys will, too. Favorite, that's hard to tell. Like, favorite for what, right? It's a good question. It's just hard to answer because I like a lot of them. I'm really liking the GX4 for a carry gun, you know. Okay, and Carbon Spiders come back and said 7.5 is the one to check out. So you guys are giving each other shout outs. That's cool. Yeah, like I said, guys, all of you who have firearms channels, whether it's smaller than mine, equal to, bigger than mine, the fact that you're still even on here means you're doing a good job. So try not to get too frustrated. The algorithms literally will sit there and they make it brutal. Trust me. You'll sit there sometimes and be like, you'll have to go back sometimes and just check again. Like, I thought I hit publish. Oh, I did. Okay, just none of my viewers knew about it. And then I'll bring up something in a stream a week later and I've got like dozens of people. You did a video on that? Yeah, I did. Oh, shoot. I'm not even subbed anymore. Trust me. Anything firearms related on here, tough. What's happening, Threaded for my pleasure? How you doing, man? Maybe an AK chambered in 7.5. It could be. Is it the 7? Is it the 7.5 Bruno? Is it? I don't know. Is it the 7.5 by 55 Swiss? What about all the 7.5 by 55 Swiss fans? I have a K31 that I like. I have a K1911 rifle. So, yeah. The Lizard King. Nope, I don't drink at all. So I don't enjoy shotgunning beers. I seriously don't. I don't drink at all. So the simple question to that would be, I don't know. I don't know about the 7.5 and a hard no on the shotgunning beers because I just don't drink any alcohol at all. But if you do, that's fine with me. Denny's Plant-Based Journey has a whole bunch of favorites. Right on, man. Thanks for supporting the channel too, by the way. I know there's too many favorites. It's like, it's a good question when someone asks me that, but it's a tough question. What's your favorite? I don't know. Can I pick 5 or 6 or 7? No, and I don't like all guns either. I don't like all guns, but when it comes to the Tauruses, there's quite a few that I do actually like. And many companies that aren't Taurus too, of course. I like AKs quite a bit. All right, guys. Well, I've been on here for almost 2 hours, so I am going to get off of here. I'm just going to take one last look at the chat, and I'll read all of it after the fact. And I thank you guys for being here tonight and hanging out. I'm not going to be able to go to bed right now. A lot of people are probably like, dude, just go get some sleep. But not going to be able to because I woke up at 8 p.m. for the day after being up the previous day till 2 p.m. And I've been drinking coffee to stay awake for this, so... yeah. All right. I'm just taking one last look here. You guys are talking about... I do have a Last Ditch Arasaka in 7.7 Jap. I do have one of those, actually. There's Last Ditch means many things. There's a bunch of different... you know what I'm saying? But I do have a version of the Last Ditch with like the wood buttstock plate on it, you know, the butt pad. Thailand for life, 50 rifle. I would love to own a 50 rifle, but I do not have one. But I would love to. So if anyone out there is rich and wants to send me one, go for it, right? But no, I don't have a 50, but I would definitely like to have one. I will catch you guys on Locals. You can go over there tonight and check out the post. Get signed up for an account. If you want to support, it's much appreciated. Or you can sign up totally free. And that way you'll be ready if you want to enjoy my stream tomorrow. I'll probably do 2 tomorrow, one for the free members and one for the supporters. So I will see you guys on Locals tomorrow, and I'm working on more videos this weekend that I'll have up on YouTube soon. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and have a good one.